What is up, Retro Maniacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike. I am from Mike's Retro Trading Cards, and I'm joined by two men that better watch what they say this week, or I might come at them with a box cutter. They are Joe Day and EP Eric Pahowick. How you doing, guys?
Well, at least we get a box cutter. I mean, I've been begging for one for months. I need a Mike's Retro Trading Card box.
True, just pull that right out of your neck, and then you can just cut anything you
out
need.
of the jugular. We're good to go.
Oh, how about you, EP?
I don't feel threatened at all. You're a kind
you
soul.
live closer.
You're a kind soul. You wouldn't hurt us. It's fine.
Yeah, probably not. I'd like to, but yeah, we're. If you know the joke, you know the joke. But wow, Joe, where is the beard?
Got to rejuvenate the face, baby. Gotta get it a little smooth.
Is that what you call it?
That's what I call it when I shave. When I accidentally shave too much of my beard and go, son of a bitch, I gotta shave the whole thing now. That's what that's called. But yeah, I'm rejuvenating. Don't worry, I won't shave for about 6 months. It'll be fine.
I'm in the minority now. Like I was You're for so long, and now I'm a minority. So wow.
Hey, EP, you and I we can vote him out. Get Amy, get your wife in here to host.
I know, no beards allowed.
No
Holy
beards
crap.
allowed.
All right. Well, we're here to talk about cards. Again, I say it every week. We do it every week. So I heard some news this week. I don't know. And just, caught this at like the end of a little thing I was watching, that this company called PSA is going to be opening what they're calling bulk grading services. It's going to be $22 a card, 25 card minimum, and $199 declared value with 120 calendar day turnaround time. Not sure if either of you know anything about this company, but they're a grading company. They take your cards, they professionally grade them, and they encapsulate them in a little case, put a little label on it, and now you can do it for $22. Joe, are you finally back with PSA?
No. What? No. What? You know what? I want to talk about this because, all right. I went back and looked at a recent podcast we did, okay? And we were talking, and Mike, you rightly said at some point PSA is going to come down to that $15 to $20 range, okay? They're down to $22. And I said on that pod, but the declared value is going to be low. Mm-hmm. And I got some pushback. Daddy was right, okay? Joe Day was right. $199 for $22. When you add the grading fee, the shipping to, the shipping from, the eBay fees, the shipping on your eBay sale, that $200 card, now you're going to get about $3 worth of profit from. What in the world? Who is sending cards for $22 at $199 value? The National was bad enough at $18, right? That was they pushed that to $4.99, did they? Or was that $199?
I think that was $199 also.
I mean, I don't know who's sending these cards. We talked about it before. People shouldn't send in base cards anymore. People probably won't send in base cards anymore. What else can you send in that's going to have a $199 value that's worth the $22 grading fee? It's not worth it to me. I mean, I wasn't sending a PSA anyway, but EP, this is right in your neck of the woods. In terms of value, some of the cards you have, I don't know. Are you going to send in, 20 cards or 25 cards or whatever bulk is, and then have them graded at $199 value?
Well, I know we were texting about this between the three of us, and like the $18 price was, it's crazy because it's only $4 difference, but the $22 compared to $18, it seems like so much more. It's so much closer to that $30 than $18, in my opinion. And I've got a couple low end, mid end Kobe Bryant rookie cards that are definitely not going to 10. They could be a 9. They're probably more likely an 8. So they're kind of in that range where I would like to get them graded just to have them graded and keep one for myself. But it's 22 feels almost like, gosh, I don't want to pull the trigger on that. Where 18 was like, you know what, I'm pulling the trigger on this. I didn't actually, but I was I was right there. Like,
shocker.
Yeah. Like
breaking news.
EP not grading cards.
It's only $4, but when you're talking about like if it comes back a 7 instead of an 8, then all of a sudden I might make $2 out of sending it in. And what's the point of that? You know, not even counting the shipping fees and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's the issue, you know, for me.
Okay, Joe. I will say you're right for now, but you're not going to end up being right. You're not going to end up being right about this. I'm telling you.
You're the man who looks at a clock at every hour, and it's going to be 6 at some point. I'm just staring at it. Yes, you eventually will be right, Mike, but you've been talking about this for years at this point.
No,
that they're going to go down to $15.
I don't think it's years.
It's years.
Okay. My thoughts on this are the bulk grading thing is a little different. This is to get more of the set registry people. I don't think this is, I mean, how can you add value to a card if you're paying $22 and on a $199 declared value? You can't. This is not for people to add value to the cards. This will go lower. This is the first step, reintroduction of the bulk pricing. This will get lower, and the value service will be lower with the $4.99. That's the value will get down to 20, and this will probably get down to 10, 12. I believe this is more for set builders, people that are, you know, building, you know, their 70s, their vintage stuff. Before the boom happened, the bulk grading was $8 a card. So now we're up to, it's reintroduced at 22. You know, when I sent cards in last year before they closed down, it was what, $20 a card for $4.99 value. So like, this is not that. Like, this is not for people to add value to cards. This is for the set registry people, the people who want to get, you know, their older stuff graded, have it in the registry there, and this will go lower, and everything else will go lower accordingly. So Joe, you're right for now, but you're not going to end up being right. You're going to be wrong.
In 3 years, mark the calendar. Mike's like, I was right. I told you.
6 months.
I was gonna say, what's your time frame, Mike? 6 months.
Yeah, half a year. Yeah, I think they're they're just reintroducing everything and seeing how it goes, and they're going to adjust to that. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about the grading numbers coming up, but I think that'll lead into this discussion too. But yeah, this isn't for people to make money by buying raw and grading a card and sending it in. Maybe there might be a really small area where you could find to do that, but you know, it's going to be tough at $199 declared value. It's also tough too for like us, because of the cutoff being the 96 and later and 95 and earlier, because we have a lot of those 90s cards where you know, you're not going to be able to send 25 in necessarily, because we have 25 of each. So
that's what kind of screwed up BP, right? You were planning on sending, but they were different years or whatever.
We didn't have the right numbers.
Your buddy Rob, we're
just an odd, like where did they come up with that as the cutoff? Like,
do you think they're training people in certain things so they don't want to send one box and one submission because it would have to go to different people? That
was my thinking. I was wondering also, they have the two facilities now where they're doing grading, and I wonder if maybe one facility handles like the more vintage, the older stuff, and one handles the newer stuff. And I wonder if that's kind of like the way they kind of separate stuff, possibly. And
well, one thing we know of PSA is they'll never let us know, because they're not very transparent about anything. So yeah, but it's just an odd, like 95 being the cutoff. Like, it feels weird to me. I don't know. I guess most of the insert cards and everything came post 95.
What about all the Bert Emanuel rookie cards I want to have graded?
Well,
I mean, where am I sending those things? I guess I'm going
if you listen to my advice, in 6 months you can send them to PSA, because you can be only paying $10 or $12 to it.
I'm going to hold you to that.
If they are not, I will pay for them. Yes,
he will pay. Wait!
I'm taking you up on that.
You heard it.
We got a link to the fantasy podcast, fantasy episode that we did, and Mike just said that he would pay to grade your Bert Emanuel rookie cards.
Yeah, a whole lot of them too.
All right,
a whole lot of them. Okay, I'm in. PSA, man, I get out and you just drag me back in by Mike
Yeah.
Van for my Berta manual grading.
Oh, could
You also
imagine-
said on the podcast that you would never use them again. So,
But I also said someone
People
else
remember.
could use them. Remember, I said that. I'm like, I'll have to give them to EP to have him send them in if I found something.
Mike, that would be amazing. Could you imagine Joe doing a PSA reveal post saying, I will never grade with him, and having them all be Berta Manual rookie cards that you paid for? That would be
I
that
know.
would be ridiculous.
You know, 4 people would watch that video, but that would be my favorite video of all time. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Just Joe
I would
with
crush
Berta
the set
Manual after
registry.
Berta Manual after Berta Manual.
I would crush the set registry on Berta manual cards. I'll tell
You'd be
you.
killing the value though, because the pop reports would be coming through the roof.
after that. By the way, as an aside, this no beard thing is starting to freak me out a little bit because you can count my chins now, and I don't approve of this. I'm like trying to cover the
It
fatness
works
of my
much
neck
better.
and throat up. Yeah, I'm like going like this, hoping the audio pod. Thank you for being on the audio pod. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we should really promote that more. Then people won't have to look at any of it. The big benefit to the audio pod, available on Apple Podcasts.
Take
Or
this with you in
wherever,
the car.
wherever you listen to your
Yeah.
podcast.
Actually, it's really only on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But you know,
Available
does
on
anybody
Spotify.
listen anywhere else? So yeah. Well, speaking of pop reports, Gem Rate on Instagram, they do great work covering this stuff. They released the August grading numbers. PSA graded 895,000 cards. They were down 11%. CSG CGC did 171K, and SGC was 75K. Obviously, PSA is done with the backlog. Like their numbers are going to be affected by that. I don't really know if the national, I don't know how many cards from the national are being graded yet, but they may have helped with that number too. But you know, they're down a little bit over what they were in July. They're down 11%, and this is why I'm saying, you know, the prices are going to go down. They can handle more than this number that they graded last month. So that's where my thinking is about the pricing coming down. But still, pretty impressed with CSG and CGC together. They've been running close to that, you know, 175,000 to 200,000 every month. That's a decent chunk of cards to be grading for. Clearly the number 2 grading company right now in terms of quantity.
Yeah, well, I don't want to bury that lead or anything, but SGC also being up is big. I mean, we were talking
They
about
were
this a couple
way
pods ago.
down though.
Yeah,
But they're
were
still
way down,
down like 25,000 or so from June. So,
right? But I mean, yeah, everyone's down, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's down since then. So, in terms of CGC, and I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but I really think they're going to push PSA in a couple of spots, and one of those is going to be Marvel card grading. We also looked at those numbers that GemRate put those numbers up in terms of non-sports cards, and it is way closer at this point, even before they got the CSG. I always forget what's the comic book one.
CGC. Yeah.
Jesus.
Joe's bad with his grading.
Oh, the
company.
acronyms.
There's so many
man.
acronyms. There's so many letters.
Too many letters.
Oh my god! But once that company that part of the company takes over the Marvel grading and starts churning out cards, I could see the non-sports number flipping, where PSA is number 2.
That'll be interesting. Yeah,
I
I'm
felt that
really
when
interested
we
to
first saw
see
this.
where that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I really think I was surprised by. I think the PSA dropping 11% doesn't seem it seems like a significant amount, but they had been going up for so much and they were grading so many cards. 11% seems like it's probably not that much at all. Where I was kind of surprised that SGC wasn't above CSG and CGC. I haven't been paying attention to the numbers, but I was surprised by that. I wonder if the Mantle sale is probably going to help improve their numbers, but also with CGC, the CSG deals they have, and the sorry, I messed up with the letters too, and CGC with their new Marvel stuff. I mean, I could see them holding that number 2 spot. Like you said, they're clearly in the number 2 right now, and I could see them totally holding that.
Yeah, and CSG just dropped the amount you needed for their bulk rate. So
really?
They have the $15 bulk rate. You needed 50 cards before, and they cut it to 25 now.
Oh wow!
So you can send in, you can send in 25 cards for $15 a card and have them back in like 30 days, or you can send 25 cards to PSA for $22 and wait 120 days for it. So, in my opinion, if you're doing it for your PC, there's no question you should be using CSG. See, now I'm doing it too. But CSG
Glass
and
houses, my
CGC,
friend.
like, yeah, again, they're fantastic slabs, great label. Like, if you're sending in cards for your PC, give them a shot. Like, that's a great deal. $15 a card and having them back in around a month.
And if you're doing Marvel cards, I wouldn't even think about sending them to PSA at this point. I think this secondary market is really going to catch up on these, because the actual comic book collectors who also collect cards that were filtering money to PSA for those PSA 10s, they will go to whatever CSG, CGC, whatever. They will go to them. They will go to them.
Well, also, I think, Mike, you have sold a couple CSG cards recently, the last couple of weeks or whatever. That getting, I don't know if you got your exact price, but you got close to your price. Like you were pretty happy with the sales recently.
Yeah, I've actually sold a number of them over the last 2 months or so, and fair prices. Like some of them I got my asking price for the card that I had listed with best offer. Other ones, I had solid offers, like $50 card with a $40 offer. I consider that a solid offer. And, we all kind of build in a little bit of that buffer for that offer too. Like you're listing at 50, you're thinking you're going to sell it for 40 usually. So yeah, I'm happy with the number of cards. I don't know if it's because people want to crack them and send them to PSA, which some of them probably are. Although I've sold some wrestling cards too, and I know those
viewer of the channel bought a couple of your wrestling cards actually.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I bought some very nice ones, and they're great cards. Like they're very well graded. I know people like PSA, they like the value that's added to it, but for your personal collection, like this company does a great job of grading. I've been in this for like 30 years. I feel pretty confident in my abilities to be able to look at a card and grade it, and they were right there. Like there was nothing I really got from them that was like, what in the world was that? So, it's going to be, grading is subjective, Joe. And
boy, I've been right twice on this pod. This is awesome.
It is a subjective thing. And, I could look at it and you could look at it and we could get slightly different opinions on it, but not widely different. And that's what I felt with my CSG order. I felt like they were very accurate and just fantastic looking. If you don't have one, just go on eBay, buy a cheap one to get that new slab and the new label and hold that card and look at it, and you'll be impressed.
One of the things,
they're not a sponsor of us, but it sounds like they are. But I really think they should. Go ahead, EP.
One of the things that you said before is that you have to kind of all the things come into play is when it comes to increasing the value of a card, the turnaround and the price and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, if you get a card graded with eBay's regular service or SGC at $30, and you're going to only charge $40, or you end up getting $40 for that card that you sold, it's a big difference between paying the $15 for the CSG. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a massive difference. Like you can sell that card at $40 and still, have increased the value of that card at that point, where with the other ones, you're really not increasing the value.
I took a lot of cards. I'm sorry, Joe. I had a lot of cards though, like wrestling cards too, that were, cards that sold for less than $5 raw that I spent. It was $12 when I graded mine, but you're selling a card then for $30 that you would have gotten like $4 for raw. So I have 16 into it, but I sold it for 30. That's really the playground to play in too. Like you can get if you have really nice condition, like lower end cards of bigger name players, you can do well with that. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as much as I love SGC at that $30 price point, you really have to be picky about what you're sending to them. And the numbers did come up from the previous month. They are down overall, as most of the industry just in general is. But I just, for me, you want to talk about accurate graders. I think PSA is third, maybe even fourth, depending on, because we've said this before. If you're going to have that many people, new people grading cards, things are going to get missed. So this is not even a knock on PSA. It's just simple math. I mean, you have 400 plus graders, a lot of them new. You're not going to get the same grade. I mean, I don't think they're going to be wildly different. Like, one person looks at a card and gets a 6, and another person looks at it and thinks it's a 10. But that's 7 to 8 or 8 to 9. That's a lot of value difference in some cards.
Yep.
So you have 400 different people look at it. I guarantee you're not going to get 400 of the same grade from those people. And the difference between, when you're talking big boy cards, the difference between an 8 and a 9, there's a lot of value that could be added or subtracted. So it would make me a little wary until PSA gets those folks, continues to get them trained and up to speed on where they need to be. For accuracy, CSG and SGC are probably the two best at this point, in my opinion.
PSA, with not using the half grades, like they do have half grades in their scale, but they don't use them like that. That does make a big difference. Whereas, you send to CSG or SGC and they're trying to decide between that 8 and 9, you can get an 8.5, where typically with PSA, you're going to end up with the 8. Like, I ended up getting some 8.5 for some reason.
Super rare,
my order, but it just doesn't happen often. So like their scale too, with the more graders and the more subjectivity they have, just based on the number they have, and then not having the half grades too, kind of makes it even a bigger deal. So well, maybe Derek Jeter will be the one to save us from all this grading company nonsense, because he may have been overrated as a baseball player, but he's not going to be overrated.
Shots fired.
Okay,
that was kind of accurate, actually.
Yeah, don't at me, but Derek Jeter announced that he is a partner in a new startup grading company, because that's what we need, right? Everybody can agree we need
don't
more
have
grading
enough grading companies.
Arena Club is the name of the company. CEO Brian Lee, guy started LegalZoom apparently, which definitely
I thought he was a pro wrestler.
Some kind of he was, yes. That gives him a special insight into grading trading cards, I guess. I don't know.
I think the pro wrestler would have more insight in grading.
But cards. They're going to be offering a $25 fee to grade, to send it to their vault and then for sale, or $35 if you want to grade the card and have it back. They're offering what they're calling personal showrooms, where people can buy and sell and display their cards. I guess that's their vault thing. I don't know. I don't have the details of what that means, but called a personal showroom, where you can display your cards, and turnaround time is supposed to be 30 days. They're going to charge you a 5% fee if you sell it in their marketplace. So, again, we need another marketplace too, because I don't have enough of those. Ultra Pro is going to be making the molds and the sleeves. They're going to be sleeved inside of the slab, which will be pretty cool. But the one thing that is really cool, I'm not going to lie to you, they're going to give the customer a detailed report for each card that they grade. So you're going to get probably an email or something, or you can click on the card on the website and it'll show you why they graded the card like they did. So we can make fun of this for a while, but we do have to talk about that aspect. I think that is really cool, and that's what people have been crying for a long time. Won't make a difference. I'm sorry to say this company really probably isn't going to go anywhere. But yeah, I mean, that part at least is pretty fantastic.
So, Mike, we didn't tell you this ahead of time, but breaking news: EP and I are starting a grading company, and we're going to offer a
Wow.
vault. Yeah, and we're going to do a marketplace because why not?
Ooh.
Who isn't doing that?
We're gonna do a 4-star grading system though. None of this.
Well, hold on,
10
guys.
scales,
1 to 10.
Can I tell you
4-star.
something? I have a little breaking news of my own.
I
I am also
no.
starting a grading company and a vault and a marketplace. So
Retromania
that?
grading. Retromania grading
pretty
for Mike.
cool,
The other
actually,
guys
yeah.
grading for us. We're set.
we're only going to
Got
grade cards from like 1990 to 2005.
this. Only junk wax for us. We're only grading junk wax. As you were talking about some of the things that they want to do, joking aside, I mean, we're not joking. We're really going to launch something, guys. Get ready. But joking aside, like it kind of reminds me of like the XFL, right? Where they came out, they did some wild and zany things, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's kind of weird." And then all of a sudden, the NFL used all of those ideas. I kind of hope that PSA is like, "Whoa, we're going to steal that idea when that company folds." I mean, that's the grading notes, which comic book collectors know very often, unless there's a huge backlog. CGC gives grading notes for the comic book, so it would be nice to have that. I know there are some people who get a random PSA 6 and they're like, wait, what's going on? And you never know. It would be nice if you did know that. And the big grading companies, they're probably never going to do this, but
no, they won't.
Good on Derek Jeter, as overrated as he may be as a baseball player. he might just break through that grading company backlog or log jam of so many graders and vaults and marketplaces.
I mean, I'm going to defend Derek Jeter just a moment. I mean, he was a very good player. He benefited greatly from being on that Yankees team and being, one of the captains and leaders of that team as far as his status. And
he played baseball. I didn't.
He did.
Oh, okay.
He did. Yeah, but I mean, he was a very good player. But I would just defend him there quickly. I think.
Who's your favorite team?
The New York Yankees.
Oh, okay.
So
just for
you live in New York, right? Yeah. You live in New York City.
I don't. My sister was born in New York, so.
We're really stretching.
I lived in New York when I figured out what sports were. When I
flew over Alabama. I'm a Crimson Tide fan. Roll Tide.
But anyhow, this I think if you're going to go to an appraiser in person, they're going to let you know exactly what what you have and what makes it worth what it is and what could make it worth more. And so I really think that is a really good innovation. And as Joe said, I really hope that's something that these other creators look at. They're not going to. And I really, but anytime there's competition, I also think, hey, I hope something happens where enough people latch on and this becomes something to create more competition in the market. But as you said, Mike, I think it's going to be difficult to really crack the PSA, CSG, SGC, kind of like the cabal, like the very top there. It's going to be really tough.
Like, do we need more competition in grading? We do have 4, like I'll throw Beckett in there. I know Beckett has had their struggles, but they've been around for a long time. So we have 4 quality graders like that. I don't know. It seems like a really tough market to try to crack into. $35 a card if I'm going to send a card in to get a card back. Like
if I'm going to spend $30 on his SGC,
would you give PSA or SGC $5 more for them to send you back a list of why they graded the card, why they graded it?
Depending on the card. Yeah, I would.
On the higher end stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that. And the higher end stuff is where they could do that. Like, I feel like maybe if you're paying for super express level, maybe they could do that. They won't.
They should throw it in at that point, right?
Yeah, right. But I mean, they're not going
$300.
They don't have to.
5 minutes.
But it would be really hard to be able to do that on the bulk submissions, like we talked about earlier. They just don't have time to do that, and would just end up costing more for grading. Like, what do you think, EP? Do you think they're going to grade Derek Jeter stuff easier or harder?
I think it'll be the same. I don't think they're going to do anything
okay.
special. Yeah,
I didn't know. I mean, his name's attached to it, so I thought maybe.
Derek
maybe
Jeter.
Do you think?
Hey, we're gonna give all Derek Jeters 10s, everybody. Come on, send them our way.
Do you think they'll have a photo of his face on the label? I can't wait to see the label. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to.
As far as I've seen, they do not.
Oh,
But yeah,
Wasted opportunity.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Our grading company, EP, our
Gonna have you two right on it.
Definitely.
Joe on one side and EP right there.
It would take up the whole label though, with our big fat faces on there.
Yeah, just have like tiny little bit of writing with the grade on.
I have to wait until my beard grows in to get a good headshot, though.
But that's the people are there for, though. They're not there for the actual grades of the cards. They want to see our faces on the label. That's all they're there for.
Buy the label, not the card, like I've been saying for years.
Yep.
Wow.
I broke Mike. I think we broke Mike.
Yeah. Buy the label, not the card. Yes. Oh yeah. So wrapping up this week, Topps unveiled their 2023 baseball design. Shockingly, a white border. It has a headshot and a team logo down in the lower bottom left corner of the card. Pretty clean design, although I have noticed DP, a lot of people saying that the headshot covers up the team name. The example that I saw did look that way. Kind of a little quirky, but I thought it was pretty cool looking design.
Yeah, it's cool. The bottom third to me is a little bit cluttered, but it's not terrible. I feel like the team logo, as much as the mugshot of the player covers up some stuff, I think the team logo seems really big. Like the examples I saw, they seem really, really big, like kind of overshadowing a lot of other parts of the card. But it's kind of like supposed to give, I think, like a scoreboard type of appearance, like the big scoreboard at a game. So it's kind of cool. And I know that every 20 years or so, they end up putting the mugshot of a player on the card. Like the 1982 has it, or 83. Sorry, but yeah. So I mean, like, so that's wild. So yeah,
right?
Yeah. I like it. I like it better than they've had since probably 2019. It's probably my favorite one since 2019.
Joe?
You told me to look it up before the pod. I did my homework. I think it looks clean, but I'm a sucker for white bordered cards.
Yeah, same.
Me
too.
And they have I saw the logo and it is big, but I'm fine with them covering up the name of the team a little bit if they're going to have that big logo. I don't mind it. I thought it, card Twitter was a frenzy. They a lot of people really hated it. I'm like, what is happening right now? Is it like, are they all mini cards, or is it like, are there like lines across players' faces? I was very confused on what the drama was. And I looked it up. I'm like, looks fine to me. It looks clean. It looks subtle. And there's a little pop of the logo, kind of in your face.
It adds a lot of color, like the color from the logo, and with all the teams being different, that's part of it. I think is really cool because they're not all going to look exactly the same, because you're going to be flipping through cards and you're going to know like what team it is just by like seeing that color and your peripheral vision down there. That's kind of cool. Too bad they're not making a football set too, because that'd be fantastic. Like, having football player with their mugshot there.
Because that's one of the big complaints about football is people don't know what football players look like because they're always in the helmet, I was just going to bring up that point, Mike, that one of my favorite cheap sets was Pacific Aurora, because it always did that. It had an action shot of the player, but it also had a mug shot, as EP calls it. And I like that. I think it's a nice way to actually show off the player so you can see what the player looks like. Maybe in 2024, 2025, whenever football's back with Topps and Fanatics, maybe this will be one of the designs they use for like the base top set. I think it looked really cool in a chrome too.
Oh yeah,
I bet with the logo, with the pop of the logo, I think it looked really cool in a chrome and a refractor.
Yeah, as much as I said, I thought the team logo was a little big. I agree with you, Mike, that it does make it does add some like design element to the card and some color to the card, and I do like it. It's cool. I don't think they did a full bleed I think they've had white borders for the last like 4 years, but some of the designs have been like last year's design was more classic, and then they usually do a not so classic, but this is more of a classic design. So I'm happy with they usually kind of like switch around every once in a while, but I do like the white borders all the way around. It makes for a nice to be able to see how centered the card is, as opposed to the full bleed photos where you're not sure where the card kind of
exactly.
I agree. Well, no matter what people say about it, one thing I know is they will buy it.
Oh yeah,
it's why not?
Right, exactly.
It's flagship, yeah.
Let's be happy that we still have tops to buy because remember last year or earlier this year there was a little point in time where we really weren't sure what was going to happen. So, every year a tops that comes out, it's a tradition, pretty cool.
How much will you buy? How much will you buy, EP? Like we already know you're going to buy a bunch.
I mean, depends on where I am financially and as far as my time off, but I mean, I could see if all the cards fall perfectly, I could see myself getting a case and just kind of like seeing what happens. So
don't drop the cards. Why do you want the cards to fall? It's good for cards. It's a bad analogy to use, or metaphor to use, or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah.
Definitely a couple blasters and probably a hobby box, but I mean, if everything fell in the right place, I mean, I could see myself
getting the itch.
Case. I really listen, I've been going through my Gypsy Queen cards, and I love that set so much. I opened 3 cases of that back in 2012, and man, it was so much fun to do that. Like just crazy. Yeah, I mean, it was back then. Cases of cards were not.
He's getting
money.
Advances on his paycheck.
Listen. I spent less on those 3 cases of Gypsy Queen cards than Mike spent on WWE Prism.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying. That's not. You're not breaking any news there.
I did, but I 3 freaking cases, dude. They were 2 autos and 2 mem cards per hobby box. Yeah. 3 cases worth of it.
How much is a hobby box going to run of this? Do you think? How much is a hobby box of tops?
I think hobby box is probably like $100 ish, like around there, maybe.
Yeah, around.
That's like that's what it was.
I think they were 89 from tops last year.
Okay.
So, and that was with all the Wander Mania. Remember that?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually saw somebody say, "Is Wander?" This is totally off topic. I saw it was either a tweet or a YouTube headline that said, "Is Wander a bust?" The dude's like 22 years old. Like, you can't say that yet.
In baseball, that's like 40, isn't it?
In baseball, because baseball players play until they're 40. So
but a lot of people have a lot of money tied up.
15.
Yeah, that's why they're freaking out about
it. So, like he's a bust. I wasn't able to buy this card and hold it for a month and flip it and double my money. Yeah. Oh. Well, all right, guys. Good chat this week, and enjoy the football games today. And we'll see you next week.
EP versus Mike, week 1.
We will recap it next week.
For sure.
Go Ennies.
All right. Take care, guys.
Adios.
Bye, boys.